So here we have two soles, right side up. You can tell by the curl. And then this is the wrong side, or the side that's worked away from you. So after finishing the second one, we take them and put them wrong side together. And then we start slip stitching these together. So I haven't cut the thread on the second one yet, and just continue working the slip stitch. And size 11 sole. Now we just have to size up the vinyl for the bottom. So now that I have both my slipper soles made and doubled up and put together, I also have both my vinyl pieces cut. So you'll see that it looks leathery, but it's actually vinyl, and it's got some softness on the back, not till you feel it through the double soles. So I take my slipper sole, and you can tell on here, it's hard to see because it's all the same color, but this top of the slip stitching is on this side, and you need to know that because that's what you'll build the wall of your slipper on. So that is the top, and then the other side where there is none of that is the bottom. So I always try to keep it top up so I don't accidentally sew it on backwards. And I take my vinyl and I pin it in place on the back of my slipper sole. And then using pins, I poke through where the stitches were, same spot as when I was slip stitching. And I use the pin as a guide and a placer. So I would punch through until I can touch the fabric, and then use my marker at the pin tip to mark it. And I try to consistently mark so far in on the fabric. And I just follow that around. Every once in a while I'll leave a pin by, or a pin in to hold the fabric in place. I found this was the easiest way for me to mark it up to custom fit my sole, and to make sure I had exactly the right number of holes. Marked, I take it apart from the slipper. You'll see I have these lovely little holes. And then I take this punch, I don't know what it was called, I was just so happy to find it. And I set mine onto the smallest setting. You can just turn this around to get like a thicker hole out of it if you wanted. So I like the smallest one. It seems to work well. And then just like hole punching, piece of paper with a single hole punch, trying to maintain consistency or a certain border thickness. I just push down and then use both hands and press. It makes a nice click when it breaks through. And with this vinyl, the fabric, as it gets cut, gets stored inside, which makes this really clean and easy to do. I had another fabric that didn't work so nice. Pieces got left behind, like they would get partially cut out, and I would have to break it out afterwards. So I'll just punch this quickly so I can show you assembly. The spacing will be different along the edge in the middle compared to around the outside at the foot or at the heel and the toe, and that's just because of the increases in going around a circle. The actual loops become bigger and more spaced out. So that's why using the pin helps, because then you're not worried that you've put too many marks on. You know that they fit the stitching you've done for the sole. And you'll see it's nice, this one, they all stick together. All the little hole cuttings. It's coming up through the center. And voila! So when I look at it from the other side, I can see that one stuck around. So I can just pick that out. Well, I think. There we go. And then there's nothing else missing. I'm ready to go. So here's my yarn needle, and it's loaded with 2 strands, because this whole project's worked with 2 strands together. So I'm just going to run it through some of the stitches on the back or the bottom of my slipper. And remember, I know the bottom because I have stitches from the slip stitching on the top. So go back, and I don't have to tie a knot by pulling it in this far, from this far back. It will hold itself in. I don't even have to be perfect there because I'm putting vinyl underneath, right? I just work my way up to my first stitch. And then I pull up through the hole. And I gotta make sure to stay on the outside of my loops for my slip stitching, because I need to access that for the slipper. And then I just sort of hold this together, come back through the hole and back up through the same spot that I came up in last, just to sort of get a knot going, like so. And then personal preference, I always just go this way. It's the whole left-handed thing. Sorry I'm not using like a different color to make it more visible. I'm actually making these for somebody. I don't want to pull it out when I'm done the video. So yeah, you just sort of get used to looking for your slip stitching. Yes, there, I've just sort of split the thread. There we go. And just pull snug. Both of the threads don't always come through the same, so you sort of have to alternate your tension as you're pulling it to make it even. So there's where I'm coming up. I've got my slip stitch here and my outside loops there. So here we're just doing a whip stitch. It makes a nice attachment. So there's my loop, or my slip stitch top, and these are the stitches from the edge of each sole. When I come to the end, I just like to finish off in my very first hole again, and I always sort of like to tack it. Just what I learned from sewing, I'll just do it one more time, and then I will go up through the hole and push into the sole and come up in the middle somewhere. And I'll get near the end of my thread. This one will be trouble, so I'll just snip it off. And now I want to weave this in, so I can just start weaving it in however many loops you're comfortable with at a time. And again, we'll just go in through all these stitches. And that's probably far enough. And voila! We have a slipper sole with vinyl on the bottom, ready to build our slipper up from the slip stitch. And the most important thing is we want to make sure we have the same number of stitches on each sole, and that we build that first round the same size and then reduce equally all the way up as per the pattern. I hope this helps clear any confusion about how I make my double sole with the vinyl. Thanks, guys.